Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Weekly Profit Talk. We do this every single week on Wednesday morning at 8:30, be that standard or daylight time. Certainly standard time now. Seems like it's dark an hour before dinner, right? So, in any event, good morning, everyone, and welcome to December 3rd, the first week of the last month of the year. And I thought this would be a really good time for the topic of 2025 compensation and what physician owners need to do in December. So, I'd like to go ahead and get my little aids up here because it helps quite a bit. Um, now, first of all, you are supposed to be paying yourself a reasonable compensation if you are in an S corporation. So, right off the bat, I'd like to uh, give you a quick disclaimer. If you are uncertain what an S corporation is, or you've never heard of one, or you only file one tax return every year, chances are you're not an S corporation. And there are a couple things I need to tell you. First of all, if your practice is growing and you're on track to make about $70,000 in net income, it's time to think about this because the S corporation election basically allows you to pay yourself as an employee. And then the money that is left over after your wages is net income for the S corporation. It flows through to you personally on a Schedule K-1 without any self-employment tax. Now, um, if you are filing a Schedule C income attachment to your 1040, you're paying self-employment tax on every single dollar that you report as net income. That is where the savings in S corporation comes from. So basically, I'll be speaking the language of S corporation owners going forward here. But if you have any questions about this, I'll wrap up at the end and talk a little bit more about how to get a hold of me and take advantage of this marvelous tax break that can save you thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars every year. So let's go ahead. Now, assuming that you are an S corporation now and you're enjoying this tax break, you understand that you are supposed to take a reasonable compensation from your business. And the question is, what is considered reasonable? Now, if you're netting over a $500,000 after all of your expenses and your payroll and everything, chances are you're going to be able to take a reasonable compensation that is equal to what a peer of yours would be taking were they outside working in a group for a W-2 wage, maybe even $250,000 a year or more. So, but what if your net income doesn't support that amount of money? And that's a question that a lot of doctors have in their mind. Let's say your practice is starting out and you only took in about like $120,000 after all your overheads. You can't pay yourself $250,000 wage if you don't have $250,000. So what do you do? We're going to answer those questions here for you, okay? So, first of all, let's talk about your December action plan as an S corporation owner. You should be taking a very hard look at the last month of your year, and that's what we're basically here to talk to you about this morning. Um, Today being the third, you've got a full 28 days. That's 4 weeks, assuming that you pay yourself on the last day of the month. Now, you might even take two pay periods, semi-monthly, which equals 24 pay periods a year. If that's the case, you got to get a move on here. So what you need to basically do is sit down with your profit and loss statement and your pay stubs. Also, well, you will need your pay stubs, of course, because the reason is if you have staff, you can't compare the total amount of wages that you pay in your practice to your net income because you've got other people making money too. So sit down with your pay stubs and take a look at your net income. Um, this is going to get you something called a compensation to income ratio, which we'll talk about in a minute. Okay. So um, if you have been taking a ridiculously low wage all year and you all of a sudden find yourself with a windfall of net income, you need to seriously consider actually increasing your income the last month of the year and put it in a place where you can carry forward into January and the first quarter of 2026 as well. It's time to make an adjustment now. The appearance of reasonable compensation is as important as the actual taking of it. So, you need to know where you stand before the year closes, as it says here. And whatever you do in this month is going to impact how you start your next year, naturally. So plan on making a December adjustment of some sort. And Also, let me add to that that if you've taken far too much wage, um, and your net income is considerably less than the wage that you took, I would actually consider the possibility of cutting your salary. Now, that doesn't sound very reasonable or fair, but that cut in salary basically puts money back into the business, which you can then take as a tax-free distribution. You've already paid tax on the net income once because you've earned it as income, so the distribution is technically tax-free in accountant terms. So that's why I call it that. Okay, so it basically is. So finally, income to compensation ratio. Uh, and that's defining reasonable compensation when your net income isn't. We've already started talking about that a little bit. Professional services, I feel pretty strongly that if you were paying yourself close to 50% of all the money you're making, net income plus wage, as a wage, then you're in a fairly unassailable position. Now, I have seen people have come to me to prepare tax returns for them, and they're taking like a couple $1,000s a month in wage and making tens of $1,000s um, in income. That is a disparate income to compensation ratio. A number that I kind of fixate on is around 48%, honestly. So if you take in wage of 48,000 and net income of 52,000, then that's a 48% wage. And I personally feel that based on tax law precedent, that this is actually considered reasonable. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, doctors don't make so little money, but again, you can't expect to squeeze blood out of a rock. Okay? If the money's not there, then you can't ex they can't expect you to take it. So, um, calculate your optimal salary to distribution ratio for your specific situation, as I've said here, and document your methodology. Write it all down. Make sure that you're able to basically back it up along with a month by month profit and loss statement. Start with 2025, your final month of this year, and then plan for the following year coming up. So, um, the situation basically depends on how much you're making money. And if you are scaling, keep that in mind. Perhaps your business is growing month by month as referrals and word of mouth comes in. I'm not expecting you to raise your salary based on projections in the future, but you do certainly want to raise it based on actual real income. And it's important to keep an eye on that. And this is the thing that we do for our practices on a minimally quarterly basis, and for the people we work with the most closely, every single month. Reasonable compensation is uh, very important concept, and it will keep you out of trouble and basically saving thousands of dollars legitimately every single year that you're in practice. And then once you're making over that $500,000 in net income, you can pay yourself a very reasonable compensation and still be taking in over $250,000 in net income that you're not paying any Medicare or Social Security on at all. That is the power of S corporation. So, I said I was going to wrap up on this. If all this has been foreign for you because you don't know what an S corp is and you haven't done it yet, your golden opportunity has arisen. Let's talk about this as soon as possible. I am coming to you on one of three different media live here, or you might be watching this in replay. We're not only on YouTube and LinkedIn, but of course Facebook as well. And all three of those have a comment capability. Jump on there and say help or more info or S Corp or whatever you like, and we will answer you within 24 hours and tell you how you can sit down and have a talk with me directly right here on Zoom. Um, for 45 minutes at absolutely no cost for the first conversation. And let's talk about how I can help you to put thousands of dollars back into your practice. Okay, so with that, I hope you had an amazing Thanksgiving holiday, and you're looking forward to the upcoming holidays, however you may celebrate. It's that wonderful time of year again. So, with that, there's opportunity for you to save and make thousands of additional dollars here for you. And if you have any questions about that, again, take advantage of that comments capability. Okay. So until then, have an amazing rest of your day and an awesome weekend. And if you have a chance, please do something randomly kind for a stranger. So until next week, so long, and we will see you next Wednesday at 8:30 Mountain Time. So